We're live. Awesome. Hello, hello. Welcome, ladies. This is Taylor Thompson coming to you live in the She Network, where we are sharing your excellence, where we want to edify, encourage you, empower you. And yes, if you are feeling stuck, this is the show for you for sure. And I have my beautiful, amazing friend here, Miss Marina Simone. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited, honored, so honored and excited to be here with you and your crew.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. And ladies, as you're coming on, let us know you're here. Just chime in and give StreamYard, because this is a platform you have to, because I'm going to show your comments, but just give them permission. There's a little link up there that allows you to give permission to say the comments and where you're coming in from. So that's awesome. But we're going to dive right in here, because we were just doing a little pre-call and talking about really some cool things, especially for moms, because this is Mom's Monday Mindset. You know, we're all moms, a lot of them moms here, and but we'll get into that in just a minute. But let's just talk about you, doll. I mean, I had the good pleasure of meeting you. I mean, I just have to give the big shout out to Ray and Jess, because, you know, just by being good friends with them and, you know, them doing all the hard work and having the events, I just show up and be the social butterfly and get to meet amazing people like you. So I have to give a whoop whoop for
Yes.
Ray.
Yeah.
So we met, I think we met, wasn't it like, it wasn't a Top Earner Club, because we weren't in the mastermind at the same time. I think it was at anyway,
almost 2 years ago, almost.
Pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you were pregnant, about to have that. Oh, she's so cute. How do you even get any work done?
I have a nanny. I'm blessed, because I would not get anything accomplished with her today.
She's a handful, isn't she?
She is my karma baby. That's what we call her. I tell my mom, I was like, you said I got really lucky with my first, but this is that karma baby you were talking about.
Oh, so this is the one that you go, oh my gosh, I'm going to pay for my raising on this one?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's her.
Yep. Lord, I never had that one. I never had that child. I mean, maybe the baby was, no, my youngest, maybe she was, but yeah. She's adorable. She is
adorable. Thank you so much.
So, okay, so I want to hear your story. So tell us about you. I want the ladies to know you, because you have such an amazing journey, and it's just all packed full of power.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, first off, I love this group, and I love that what you're doing. I remember when you first called me and told me what your plans were with this group, and like, it just came from your heart. Not once did you mention monetization, making money. Like, it was literally, you came with a servant soul, and I just appreciate that so much. And when I first met you, I felt like I was meeting celebrities, FYI, because we've heard so much about you and your husband, but meeting you in person was just awesome. I felt like I met one of my soulmate friends for life. And so I'm just grateful for everything and your advice and everything that you've done for me. So I appreciate you.
Wow, I didn't expect that, but thank you. That's very kind.
You're welcome. I appreciate you. You know, I'm just, you know, I like to keep it 100. So for those of you that have never met me before or seen my faccia, which means face in Italian, I'm from South Florida, born and raised. I'm a mom of two. I say God has a sense of humor, because my daughters are 9 years apart. We thought we were done at one. But when I first became a mom, it wasn't your typical was married and had that happy lifestyle. I was a single mom. My husband and I were not together. In fact, we were just friends. It kind of just happened. And I was kind of going to be a statistic. And so, you know, I was working in a cubicle. But before that, before I got pregnant, I was the party girl. I was the girl that was dancing on bars, blowing fire, hanging out with, you know, not so good people, embarrassing my mom. Like, that was me. I was that really bad teenager. Someone said to me, oh, did you sneak out the window? I'm like, no, dude, I went out the front door and I told my mom peace. Like, I was a mess. And so if you have that kind of a teenager right now, I promise you they can turn around, because look at me now, right?
Yeah.
I make my mom proud now.
Yeah, there's hope, right?
There's so hope, right? I just was, you know, I grew up with, I had a great, you know, childhood, but I also didn't. You know, I had a dad that was sexually abusive to me. And then I had a stepdad who, sold drugs and went to prison. And so I grew up having to grow up faster than a lot of other kids at the age of, 3, 4, 5. And then I had to take care of my 2 younger sisters as my mom was trying to get her master's as a single mom. So it was a lot of trauma that caused me to rebel out of teenage years and into my 20s. But getting pregnant with my daughter saved my life at 25. She made me look at life different.
I want to just stop just a minute because you're sharing a lot of
Yeah.
history here, a lot. And, we can they're just words, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you're saying them, because it's just like I was but I want to just let's hang out here for just a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, whenever you are in an environment where you are not being protected, your environment, whenever the people that are supposed to be your protectors, they're supposed to, protect you and take care of you, and they are violating that kind of trust. So was it that your mom, did she pull you out of the environment with your dad?
So my dad and my mom were never together. So every other weekend from 2 years, from a year old on, I would go to my dad's. She didn't know. I didn't tell my mom until I was 16. So I kept it a secret. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you afraid? Were you afraid to tell your mom, or did you just,
honestly, parts of it I didn't understand, to be honest, for a long time. I didn't know if it was my fault. I didn't know if I was doing something wrong. I used to blame myself for it. Maybe it was me. I did something to make it happen, right? I've been in and out of therapy since I was 6 or 7. My mom knew something was wrong, but she just didn't know exactly what it was. So I was in therapy, but I was really good at putting things in a box at a very young age. And I think a part of it was, I loved my dad. He was my dad. And I didn't understand that it wasn't supposed to be that way. So I've made peace with it. I've forgiven him. But for a long time, a lot of the patterns that I've had, and even now that I'm working on, have come from what happened at a young age. I don't speak to my dad now. I have daughters, so I don't talk to him. I've forgiven him, but it was rough. It was rough growing up for sure.
So, I see this pattern, Marina, that, no matter what kind of the abuse or the pattern, you are isolated. You think okay, this happens for everybody. There's that piece, or you think, okay, maybe I did something wrong. Whenever you start seeing that maybe this is not normal, right? And then you go, okay, so maybe I did something wrong. So then there becomes the shame. So do you think you experienced both of those?
Absolutely. But I think for me, instead of the shame, sitting in it, it was more of, I went out, I partied, I drank, I became this party girl. I started hanging out with gangs and bad crews, because these were these men that were almost protectors in a way.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was building this protection wall around me because, for subconsciously, so something like that wouldn't happen. But then I ended up in abusive relationships with men. It became this spiral. And now what I see is, in what I'm grateful for, is that I was able to choose a father for my daughters completely different. He's amazing. He is everything a father is supposed to be to their daughters. And I'm so grateful for that. So, someone said to me when I was sharing my story, because I do share my story in certain scenarios, I don't blast it all over social media, but in something like this, in a women's group, I will. Someone said, how are you not so angry at God and for all the things that have happened in your life? Because it's literally like a movie. It's insane. And I say that I was chosen. I feel like I was chosen because I didn't always see it that way, but I do now, because I look at how many women I can help in a conversation like this, or how many children that I will help with my women's center. That's my big goal. And so, I think sometimes I do go too fast through when I'm talking about my story, because for me, I feel like I was chosen, and I don't sit in a woe is me type feeling anymore. And I think that's where my power now comes from.
such a great way to recognize I don't think that sometimes women don't get to that place of acknowledgement,
Yes.
really acknowledging that they sit in that spot, too long,
Yeah.
um,
Because it owns you.
yeah,
It owns you. And that's the biggest part is like, and it's not even about letting him have that ownership or him or him or him. It was me. It was
yeah.
me not forgiving myself and for not blaming myself. And it was affecting relationships with my mom and my daughter and all these people around me. And I didn't want that anymore. I want to be happy. I don't want to live in anger. I don't want to live in resentment and anger and revenge and all those things. I want to live in a place of love. And I couldn't be in that place if I didn't come to the realization that he's sick. I've forgiven him. I don't talk to him. I don't have to have him in my life. But I can also understand that God chose me for something bigger. And I'm okay with that now.
So much power in that. I mean, like you know, I went through something very similar, and I remember at the age whenever I was like 38, whenever I realized like I was trying to hold my dad accountable, or make him be something, or being mad at him for something that he didn't have the capacity to do or get,
Exactly. Exactly.
and so whenever it's so freeing to
It's so freeing.
to
It's so freeing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, my birthday was just the other day, and you miss, wow, I don't have a dad. I don't have that kind of a dad, but instead I have that kind of a husband, and I'm so grateful for that, right? So I'm great. I'm good. I'm good that I didn't have that dad, but my daughters do. So it's almost like I had to put a different lens on. I had to put a different pair of sunglasses or contacts, because I wear contacts on, to see it differently. And so I'm just grateful that I'm able to see that now.
So you were in these relationships. So how did you, out partying, projecting,
Hmm.
all of those things.
Yeah.
So you got pregnant,
Yep.
so
Yep.
so what happened?
We were good friends. I mean, we basically knew each other from the nightclubs. Now he's my husband now, but we were just good friends. And I said, I'm pregnant. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I'm going to be a mom. And I was 25, and it was scary, but um, that was the decision that we made together. And I'm so glad we did. She's 9 now. But I went from working in a bar and making all this fast cash to now having to work in a cubicle. And so I say now I like help moms go from the cubicle to the throne, because I was living on like 2,500 a month as a single mom. And that was rough, especially in South Florida. Um, and it wasn't until a friend from high school brought network marketing to me that I was like, oh, there's another way. Network marketing saved my life in so many different ways.
Well, I mean, and that's so true of so many of us, right? But whenever you were working in the bar, I mean, like, you were making a lot of money.
Oh yeah. I was making, $1,500, $2,000 a week at, my 20s.
So that transition in and of itself had to have been I mean, it's like one thing to not have money, and then to have money is great, right?
And then to not have it.
Not have money, to not have money really sucks.
It sucks so bad, because I think a lot of my worth came from how much money I was making, because that was also something that I would do. I didn't have self-esteem. I didn't think I was worth anything more than selling bottles and being a bartender and dancing on bars. And that's what I thought my worth was. So then when I came to getting paid in a cubicle and having a boss over my shoulder, nasty, I built this third party company from a little over $1 million a year to like 33 million a year.
Well, what kind of company?
I worked for a third party company for Amazon, helping them with tactical gear. And I was basically their controller, getting paid pennies. And so I went from, because I'm smart. Like, I'm smart. I graduated with a great GPA, just went down the wrong path, right? But to then be getting paid $2,500, maybe $3,000 a month when I was making them all this money, I was like, oh, I'm never going to be more than this. So if you're a mom, this is all I'm worth, and this is what you have to do. Right. Yeah. And so I was looking at my life like, this is it. And I didn't have my dad to help me. And I love my mom, but my mom financially wasn't in a position to help me either. So,
you're single mom, so you weren't with your husband now. So
no.
was he involved? Did he help you financially? Was he involved
Here and there, yeah, here and there. We were both these party people. I mean, he has done a complete 180 as well. So we weren't just in the right place and in the right mindset. When my daughter turned 2, we ended up getting together, and that's life changed completely for both of us. I became successful in my network marketing business too at that point. So it was like we went through like all of these ups and downs and hurdles and obstacles. I look back now and I'm like, oh Lord, how am I breathing? Right. But then I'm also like, whoa, I came through so much, and where I am now, I could never imagine I'd be ever in my life. And so I'm just grateful for that.
So whenever you were, how did you get together? I mean, like, so you just maintained a friendship.
Always, we were really good friends. We never had a horrible relationship. We were just friends, and we decided to have a baby together. We were like, we would party together and then we'd hook up. Like that was our relationships, but we never looked at each other like being with each other. We both had just came out of crappy relationships. I didn't have like self-esteem, whatever. So we decided just to be parents together. It was kind of crazy. It's so weird. And we got judged for it. I was judged for it. I mean, my family didn't get it. But then we finally decided after 2 years, like we did want to be with each other, and we decided we were pretty cool together. And so we've been together ever since.
So was it instant, or was it just a gradual process?
Gradual.
Yeah. That you fell in love with each other. Like
gradual. Yeah, we weren't in love before baby. We were in love after baby 2 years later. It's crazy. It's the weirdest story.
So did you start your business after you got married? I mean, whenever you were introduced, how were you?
So I got introduced to network marketing in 2012. I went to him when I got introduced to network marketing because there was like stock involved, and I was like, oh, there's stock, and you don't want to do network marketing, but maybe you could buy stock. Well, he ended up buying a lot of that stock, but anyway, so I got introduced to it, and he's like, yeah, go for it. And he was so supportive. Even when we weren't together, super supportive of network marketing. But for 2 years, I made no money. Like I didn't make money. I was driving to meetings and no one was showing up. I would, I think recruited 12 people my first year, and no one ever did anything, so I was traveling to these events and spending money on airplane tickets and going to these events and sleeping on floors and eating peanut butter sandwiches. I was building up debt just to try to make this network marketing thing work. And he was always super supportive. And my family, my mom was not. She's like, you have a degree. Why are you not doing this and that? And I felt different. Like I'm an entrepreneur and I saw something different. I just feel like I hadn't found my mojo.
So did you ever question or doubt yourself?
Every day. I cried myself to sleep probably every night, dreaming of being on a stage, dreaming of having a team, dreaming of making more money, dreaming of, being able to do more for my daughter. Yeah, I cried. I still remember the same prayer I would say every night before bed. God, if this is meant for me to be here, please don't let me quit. If I'm meant to be on stage, I'll be on stage. Like I'm following and every time I would want to quit, something just enough would happen to keep me there. Somebody would show interest, or I would get a new customer, or somebody would enroll, like just enough to keep me in the game. In 2014, it wasn't until I started building on social media that I found my mojo.
So was this, because I think a lot of people have to go through that,
I'm glad I did. It's something I needed.
People that quit before they break through that barrier. They go through so much self-doubt and so much unbelief that they think there's something wrong with them, right? That they don't have what it takes. And so for me, that's always my message of, no, you do have what it takes. You have, it's whether you choose to apply it or not, right?
Yes.
It's like the self-responsibility. It's like the self-discipline. It's like the self-determination. I mean, like, you had it already. I mean, just by being a single mom, just by choosing to have a baby, you had those attributes,
Mm-hmm.
applying it in a different way, in a different,
Exactly.
you're channeling it differently.
Yes.
So what was that? So whenever you did, so 2014, you decided to say, okay, I'm going to do that. What made you decide, okay, I'm going to start building on social
Yeah.
media?
Well, look, think about my past. Think about my influence. I had none,
Mhm.
right? I was known as the party girl who sold alcohol, became a single mom, and now all of a sudden is working in a cubicle. What the heck did I know about making money? What the heck did I know about business?
Right.
So that's how my warm market looked at me. So it was either I had to go to networking events and hand out flyers at gas stations or hand CDs to random gas station attendants or, talk to complete strangers in a grocery store, which I did all the above, and it
Mhm.
didn't work for me. So what was that next step? And so for me, it was, yes, I'm going to build on social media. No one knows me. No,
Right.
I can make friends with people that don't even know me on Facebook and Instagram. I've got this. I
Yeah.
can have a posture and they won't know. And that's how I built.
And did you go through coaching, or like did you start on one platform, and how did you?
Yeah. So I started on Facebook. I started buying social media courses to learn like the language of how to sell on social. I think one of the biggest pieces for me, I've always loved marketing. I always pay attention to commercials that catch my attention or ads that catch my attention or anything that's done by bigger brands. I pay attention to trends.
Mhm.
And so I started to pay attention to what was being done on social media. And I was like, oh, I can apply that to my company. I can apply that to my product. I can apply that to my brand. I still do that now to this day. And I love Progressive right now has the most killer ad with Zoom. I wish I would have thought of it before them. It's so, have you seen it?
Oh,
Okay,
I'm not a TV person at all.
I'm usually not either, but I've had a couple extra moments of just relaxation and I've kind of loved it this weekend. But they have this Progressive Insurance commercial where, the girl who represents them,
Yeah.
she's like on Zoom, she's like,
Like,
hey,
one.
she's like, hey, yep. She's like, can you guys hear me? And then she's like getting like all up in the thing. And then they're like, what, can you hear me now? And it's funny because it's exactly how us as network marketers are doing our team calls or whatever. But right now the whole world is learning how to use Zoom for the first time. And yet we've all been doing this for how long, right? I'm like, Mom, welcome to my world. So I'm paying attention to that and I'm like falling in love with like seeing the marketing. So I'm like a marketing dork. And so with that, I'm like, oh, let me figure out ways to get creative on social and find ways to attract people to me to want to have conversations with me. And so, yeah, I bought some courses. I hired my very first network marketing coach in 2014. And then from there, I've never been out of a mastermind, never been out of, having someone mentor me because I don't know all the answers. And if the day I know all the answers is the day I'll probably lose everything. Right. So I don't want to know all the answers. I always want to be the person in the room making the least amount of money. That's always been my thing now. So yeah, 2014, I hired my first coach. I started building on social media, and within 90 days, we hit six figures. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Oops, FTC, my bad.
I've always had the same mindset though, Marina. It's like, you stop earning, you stop learning.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean,
All
you
day.
stop earning, you stop earning. Sorry, got that backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got that backwards. Because there's always lessons in everything. And
Everything.
no way you can know it all, right? So you
Yeah.
have to have people in your life that are better than you in arenas that
Always.
that's not your genius. It's
And
not
everything, relationships with, it's funny because you don't realize the people you have around you are probably mentors to you and you don't even know it. Like I always look at, who do I look up to in their marriage? Who do I look up to in their finances? Not even how much they make, but what they do with their finances. Who do I look up to when it comes to their health? There's so many different people that I have in my life that I look up to, and maybe they don't know that, but I have them around because I love the way they do something or the way they have
and
something in their life.
this is such a great conversation. I'll be honest with you, because there's so many times that, you know, we have, I mean, I think, people have start getting like pride about like going, okay, they're too fearful of asking for help, or saying, do you mind coaching me in this? Because I really love the way you do that. And to the point of why I wanted this network to be this way, because I wanted women to really collaborate and not compete,
Amen.
and really surround themselves with women who were better than them in their lanes of genius,
Yes.
and to learn and glean from them whatever it means, that this could meet you wherever you are and whatever you were going through, that you could collectively reach out and find somebody to connect with, and fill in that void that you're needing in that moment.
Well, it's needed. I mean, at the end of the day, I know that women were rising up in this entrepreneurial world, but we need to definitely be supportive and stick together and help each other. I think that I'm guilty of that. I think in the beginning of business, I think I was a little bit too competitive, and I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
And the way it made me feel wasn't coming off. And now I'm like all about collaboration. I don't care who it feeds. If it feeds another woman's business, it makes my heart happy. And that's where we need to come from in this business, 5,000%.
Absolutely. Because my whole deal is like, I just want to dispel that competition thing, where we can truly, I mean, there's so much, there's plenty of room at the top.
Funny.
And the more that we do that, and we dispel that stereotypical mean girl,
Yeah.
that thing
Yes.
that we live up to, right? As women, we have a tendency to live up to that thing, right?
Yeah.
And I know what you've been doing with your group. I love your your women in heels, like heels.
Yep.
So you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because someone's like, oh, why did you name your brand Moms and Heels? And why do your network call yourselves the Healers? And for the longest time, I was like, well, I love high heels. And then behind it, though, is the way I feel, my posture with a pair of high heels on, especially as moms. I think that, first off, let's be clear, I can't wear heels like I used to. After baby number 2, we're still working on getting everything back to where it needs to be. But there's something
amazing. What are you talking about?
Thank you. No, I didn't wear heels for it's funny. I didn't wear heels because I was pregnant and I was miserable when I was pregnant. So for almost a year, so I went and put them back on. I was like, how did I used to walk on these things? So I'm retraining myself again. But when you put a pair of good heels on, it made me posture up. I have this confidence in this. It was kind of like my magic wand. And so that was something I feel like moms were missing. They needed that magic wand, the bippity boppity boop, to make them feel like Cinderella just for that one night. And so I wanted to create that environment for women. And I didn't want to teach network marketing. That's not what I wanted Moms and Heels to be. But that's what pieces of what it turned into. But we have some big plans for our group and for what we want to do with our women's center. We want to create a women's center for moms that are in a domestic violence situation. So a self-shelter for them and their kids. That's my end goal, help women with mental illness and women with addiction. That's the big end goal, not end goal, but the big goal of why we're pushing so hard for this brand now. But it evolved to that, and I'm just grateful for it. So yeah, we help moms slay online sales. That's what we do right now. We're teaching moms how to slay it online. Slay online.
I love that, because that's, for me, that's, I knew for women don't join businesses, they join causes.
Always.
There's got to be a cause behind. There's got to be a cause behind what they do, and it's got to be big. It's got to be more than just making money.
Yes.
That's the result.
Yep.
It's that's just the end. That's just the result. But I with the Moms and Heels, I have to tell you something, because I'm sitting here, so you don't know if you haven't never met me. I'm very tall, right? So I'm without heels on, I'm 5'11", right? So I love heels.
Yeah.
I love heels. So whenever I wear them, I know what you're saying, but it makes me 6'3", right?
Yeah. I'm like 5'2". Let's switch.
So I love heels because so I totally get that. But I've always kind of been a little inhibited about wearing heels.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh my God, you're so tall. And finally I just said, you know what? Forget about it. Like,
Yes.
and Larry, my husband, he reminds me of what you're talking. Like I married my Prince Charming, right? So he's like, I don't care if you're taller than me.
He doesn't either.
Don't like I go for it. I love it. Right.
I like that. Yes.
That's why I've always loved your group and loved the name of it. But so let's talk about, so you being in network marketing, tell, if you only been with one company?
No. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I could be that person that's been with the same company for 100 years, and I feel like that's not everybody's story. And I think it's important to say that that's okay if that's not your story. I feel like I dated a couple companies. I didn't feel like I was completely attached to certain missions of companies, and I don't even know what else to say other than that. But with my third company, I was successful in my second company. That's when I made a switch and I found something I was looking for. Like I just needed to, sometimes you got to find your mojo and you've got to find what you're connected to. If you're like hitting a new company every month, you've got issues. But if you're with a company and you just don't find the mojo, don't feel bad about that. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. So my second company, I became a top 12 income earner in that company, and I had to make a really hard decision to walk away for business decision reasons and personal reasons. It just wasn't for me anymore. And it felt like a divorce, honestly, when I left that company, because I was top 12 income earner and, you're supposed to be a certain type of way, but it made me feel like I had to be a certain type of way and kind of put me in a box. And I didn't want that for my team. And that's why I made a decision to move. So I'm with my third company. I've been in network marketing since 2012, hopefully my last, right? Like we all look for that legacy company.
Yeah.
And that's what I truly looked for this time around. I think I've grown a lot. I think that unfortunately, when you make moves, you do hurt people. And I know that I've probably hurt people in the past, and I've try to apologize for maybe not being so cool 5 years ago when I thought I knew everything. But yeah, network marketing has been a journey of learning about myself in so many ways. Yes, we make amazing money, and yes, we've built an incredible brand, but I feel like it's made me grow up into the woman I'm supposed to become.
So did you experience some backlash?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It was hurtful. I got called lots of names, ghetto hood rat, because I'm very 100 on social media. Like I speak in slang sometimes, and I'm just who I am. And I think that's one thing that's been super empowering for my tribe. But there's also people that will try to use that against me. Oh, well, she used to be like this. How can you follow her? Or, she wears too much makeup, or, oh, she always has her nails done a certain way, or she does her hair a certain way. Oh, she looks like I've literally had it all to the point where all she cares about is the way she looks. I had someone reply to an email the other day and tell me no one gives a about my kids. Why do I keep talking about them in emails? And I've had it all. I've had a guy actually make up stories about me and some other person in my organization it's crazy. People are nuts, but I've had to shut that down and realize that with influence comes drama sometimes, and I can choose to react to it like I used to, or I can choose to just laugh it off and cry to my husband. He makes me feel better, and then I just go and impact more people.
That's such a great lesson, is not to react.
Yeah, it's hard. I have to take a deep breath. Believe me, the ghetto South Florida chick wants to react, but then I'm like, that's not who you are anymore, Marina. So we have to take a deep breath.
So talking about your husband, does he do the business with you?
No, he's a stay-at-home dad. He is completely a stay-at-home dad, and he loves it. I think at first it was definitely a little like we had to switch roles and it was weird, but he has been such a blessing. He is a stay-at-home dad. Like he does the homework with our daughter. Like he was taking her to activities. I build the business, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to build the business.
And to that point, I always try to go way out of the way, accolades to whoever it is. Whether it was male or female male, who's ever like in the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a supportive spouse doing those things, whatever those things are, even if it's just encouraging you, even if they're have their own job, if it's not even a stay-at-home dad, whatever it is, if they're supporting you in that, they're, to me, they're just as much as an integral part of the success of the business as if they were working right alongside you.
Amen. All day.
And so I always want to go out of my way to acknowledge that
Yes.
and those
It's
two,
so important.
because I didn't have that whenever I started my business. So I know what a struggle it is. I know what that's like not to have that. So I always want to give credit, that kind of credit.
I think sometimes women can look at their males as like, oh, well, they don't want to build a business with me, or even men, the women don't want to build a business with them because maybe it's just not for them. But that doesn't mean that they're not supportive. It doesn't mean, and even if I just said this to a client today, I said, even if your husband doesn't get it, that doesn't make him bad and that doesn't make him wrong. He just doesn't see what you see. He has a different pair of glasses on, and that doesn't make him bad, and it doesn't make you bad. So you just have to understand and come to this understanding way of like, everybody doesn't have to get what's up here. Not everyone has to get that. And I think that a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we felt left out when we were younger, or maybe in girl groups or certain groups, because we see things differently. We think differently. And so I had to be that way with my mom, because my mom just didn't get it. Didn't matter how much money I was making. She just didn't get it, and now she's supportive, but she wasn't for the first 7 years, so just be mindful that not everybody has to get what's in your brain.
Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 27 years and my mom and dad still ask when I'm going to go get a real job. I mean,
they don't.
Not that I build a team anymore, but I mean, I'm still in what I do. They don't get anything. So it's okay. Like you just love them where they are. Right.
Exactly.
So let's, we're talking about like this, you were talking about your husband doing the homeschool part. I mean, like, how have you adjusted with all of this quarantine? You want to share because we're talking about Monday mom's mindset. Like, how do you, that's what you do as being a mom and like juggling, your daughter's home and the schoolwork. I mean, how does that work?
Well, let me preface this by saying that I only have one. So for those of you that have multiple kids in homeschooling, I am like, take a deep breath and go outside and like scream for an hour if you need to. It's all good. I've probably almost broke the computer a couple times too, the reacting part we're working on. So Jason, which is my husband, like he would literally do all the schoolwork with her. Now all of a sudden it's all online. And so he doesn't technically know how to use certain things on a computer. Like they want him to use Google Hangout and all these things. And I don't even remember how to use a lot of it. I'm online building a business, but I don't know how to do all this techie stuff either. So it was like all of a sudden, we're made to be not only teachers to our kids, but we're also like supposed to know how to work everything. And then we're submitting assignments, and they're disappearing. And then my daughter has to redo them. And then it's like frustrating for us because she's getting upset. And, then we're getting emails from the teachers that they sent this and they did. It's freaking chaos right now. Right.
Yeah.
So how are we dealing with it? We're just reminding ourselves this too shall pass.
Good.
Literally, that's the only advice that I think I can give, because I don't have organization going right now. My business is not exactly organized the way I want it to be, even though we had our biggest month last month. That doesn't mean anything. It means there's still chaos, and it's okay. I had to, again, take a deep breath and not let my anxiety and my panic, because I do have, and I'm still a little bit postpartum, like, because I just had a baby, right, a year ago. Well, not just, but whatever. Postpartum still hasn't completely gone away. So I had to just remind myself that this too shall pass. I'm not the only one in this place right now, and that I don't have to be perfect, and that these teachers are just going to have to deal with the way I get it in. And if I need to have the uncomfortable conversations with the teachers of, hey, this isn't working for us and we need more from you, that we need to do that and not feel bad about it. And so it's rough right now, with all these parents. This is uncharted territory. Like, who in the world would ever think we'd be going through this? Like, are we serious right now? Like, I have to have my kid for how much longer? Like, we went from, it's just crazy. It's chaos, and we just have to take it, bite it off, bite by bite, step by step. Try not to look at what's going to happen tomorrow. Get through today. stay consistent with your business if you can. And if you have to take a step back somewhere, be okay with that too, so you don't go crazy.
That's good. That's such good advice. One day at a time, this too shall pass. Like, so like the ladies, we're talking about, here, I'm getting ready to launch, this membership, this whole platform, this whole reason for putting all this together. So like with your excellence, what would you tell these ladies? Like give them a takeaway today. What would we be talking about? What would you be giving or teaching, or you think that every woman needs to know, be equipped with? What does that look like for you?
I think one of the biggest pieces for me was, and I still struggle with this, I'm not perfect, but was finding my message. Like, what was my message? Like, what is that going to be? And that has been, it took me a while to figure out like how to use my genius, but when you can really find your message and find your genius and the impact that you want to make, that just lights you up, that keeps you up till 2 a.m. and wakes you up at 5:30 in the morning, like that you can literally run on like 5.5 to 6 hours of sleep every single day because you're just building this incredible whatever it is for you because you want to go make more of an impact with your message. The money just comes because the impact just comes. And so that's something that I work with women on, and I work with small brands and businesses on, is teaching them how to find that message and how to put it on social.
That's good. That's good. That's exciting. That's exciting. Okay. I hope you guys
free marketing. It's free marketing, social media. Like, use it now while it's free.
Yeah. No, that's really great. So like whenever you go through this, you're going through this, like, what do you do to keep your mindset? Like, do you have like, quotes or scriptures that you use, or like some of your go-to things, like whenever you really feel like the downward spiral,
I mean, and that can happen a lot, especially as women. We have hormones, and depending on where you're at in your life, like I feel like whether you just had a baby or whether you're maybe premenopausal. I know my mom was premenopausal at 45, right? Like, we have hormones. Men just, they go. Women, we're emotional creatures. And so we have to treat this first like it's the most powerful place. I'm bipolar. I didn't share that either. I'm bipolar. And so I have to keep this like on point.
I was gonna ask you that. Because I know that you wasn't just, I think it was a couple of months ago that you really kind of, put it out there and shared. Sometimes that's a really hard thing to do, is like, taking the mask off and really showing people our most vulnerable spots of our the transparency. And I really applauded you for that because it's hard. So
thank you.
I'm going to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So first off, a lot of people don't even know they're bipolar. And I think a lot of people are, and I'm going to say this, and you can have a completely different belief and it's okay, but I'm grateful that there's medications that are there for me. There's also natural things that I do as well. But for me, I need medication for my bipolar. And I think there's a lot of women out there suffering in silence because they don't know what it is they're going through, or they feel like, I shouldn't need medication, it makes me weak. And I will tell you right now that everyone around me is grateful that I'm on medication, because unfortunately I get manic and I'm just not the same person, right? So I wanted to say that out loud. Like, it's okay if you need help, and it's okay to ask for help. I was afraid to ask for help because I thought it made me feel weak. And I did not want to be weak. You're not weak if you need help. You're actually stronger if you ask for help.
Yes.
So please, if you need help, like, reach out to someone, reach out therapy, or, let your family know it's okay to need help. But sharing that, I had already built a successful 7-figure brand. So now I was like, okay, how many people am I going to lose by sharing this? That was the first thing that came to my mind, is there's going to be people that are going to judge me. These women might not want to follow me anymore. And then, here came God, and he was like, no, this is that time to share that. And whoever you lose wasn't meant to be there. No. And so that's how I look forward now at everything I share about my personal life, is now I have this platform and I need to be talking about these things. And I feel like that's important.
Well, so this is, you touched on something that I think that we all experience, the fear of being rejected.
Yes.
If I take off this mask, who in my tribe, who in my circle is now they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to still love me?
Yeah.
Are they still going to hang around?
That's right.
And I think that's one of the things that I think as women for sure that we deal with and go through. But I will venture to say that you probably gained more people than you lost.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
I did.
I don't know the answer, but I would say.
It did happen. And I think it's because it was coming from such an authentic, real place.
Yeah.
It's not forced. It's just real. And people want that. People are looking for that, especially women.
So, and the reason I know that is because of this. I mean, that's how this group was founded. Like, because whenever I went through this, right, with my first baby being stillborn, and I shared this, right,
Mm-hmm.
openly. And what was eye-opening is that so many women, I was a little nervous about it because it was my walk, it was my journey, it was like all of that thing, not to, and probably not as personal even to the level of what you shared, right? But it was still personal. And
No, yeah.
But it drew so many women in. There was my Me Too. Oh my gosh.
The Me Too, yes.
It's just like you let the barriers down, you let the guard down, and you can open up and have a real authentic conversation. And you probably really connected with women that were probably suffering in silence, that were looking up to you and were like, oh my gosh, that you probably served them in such a way that I could have never, right? Hence the stories, hence having these kind of conversations. You never know who's going to be listening. You never know how you're going to light the path for somebody walking behind you that's struggling, that's suffering in the silence, like you said. And so I just appreciate you being so real and authentic in that place.
I feel safe to be able to share that here as well. And you've created that space. So thank you.
Well, it means a lot. And I honestly believe that even if it was one person, just one, the ripple impact that I believe that happens and takes place as a result of that is so powerful, powerful, much needed. So, as we're ending today, what would it be? Do you have like a favorite book, like right now, or maybe a go-to book that you would like to share with the ladies?
Yeah. So if you're an entrepreneur and it's not just network marketing, maybe you're building another kind of business, or maybe you want to start a podcast, or, and you're just looking for like a story of inspiration. My cousin actually wrote a book. It's called Work Party. And she's incredible. She was Forbes 30 under 30. Like she's insane. She's amazing. But that book was so awesome the way she wrote it, because it's just a real book. And it opened my eyes to finding white space in your industry that you can monetize on with your message and your story. So it was just a really great book. I read it again literally last week or the week before. And I just love it.
Who's the author of it?
Jacqueline Johnson.
Jacqueline Johnson.
Yeah, Work Party. And so that was a really, really great book. I would suggest any woman entrepreneur to definitely read that. As far as, you had asked about mindset, whenever I get into a place of feeling, I immediately go to my therapist. I'll just be clear. That's the first place I go. But the second place, I love to listen to John Maxwell on YouTube. And so I'll listen to him, especially if I feel like in my business, I'm not in a place leadership wise where I think I should be. I'll go listen to John Maxwell 30 days straight. And all of a sudden I'm speaking differently. So that's been a little hack of mine. So if you feel like you're not in a place where you should be and, leading wise, or your team, you feel like is going backwards, or, wherever you're at in your business, maybe in your brand, John Maxwell, just something about the way he speaks just always puts things back into perspective for me as a leader.
I love what you're saying here, because it's so true. It's like a 30 days straight, because it's what you're putting in that will eventually come out.
Exactly. It's so true.
It's such like a little, it becomes such a habit. I did a like a little training on this last week, this very thing, because you have to feed your thoughts, so it comes out of your words. And your words become your actions, right? And it all ties together. And John, he's such a great teacher and authority on leadership. So do you have like a favorite quote or something that you use, like a scripture quote, something that like is you have hanging on your office or something?
Yeah. So, there's so many scriptures that, only the wounded could serve is one that sticks out to me all the time, because I just remember being in 6th grade and girls being really mean to me and making me cry and leaving me nasty notes in my locker. And I had on a poster board. It's so funny. I remember exactly where it was in my house. And I just wrote it really big: only the wounded can serve. And that's, again, me feeling chosen. Again, like I just feel like I was chosen. And so at first my mom was like, what do you mean you were chosen? And then now she's like, oh, I get it. And so that's almost what gives me the peace. And so if you're going through something right now and you feel like you're the only one, just know only the wounded can serve.
Wow, such a power. I mean, you're speaking, we are so parallel in so many ways. Like I was bullied.
I told you you're my soul sister. I already told you that.
I was literally bullied like this. I have a lot of thoughts around that same thing. I think that we were chosen. I feel the same, we just have to walk in that. We have to walk it out.
Yes.
Be brave and bold enough to live out the gifts and talents that we were given to serve someone else. But I've never heard that scripture before. I've never heard that. That's so powerful. I love it. I so love it. So this has been such a pleasure. I just so appreciate you taking out time in this crazy time.
I know.
And to serve and share with the ladies. It's been amazing. And I know that they can't wait to get like the goodies that you're going to have for them. Like as soon as we launch, we have a live training, do some fun stuff in here. So I can't wait.
I'm excited.
So, ladies, give her some hugs and love, some virtual love here. Appreciate her for being here. And any last words you want to share?
No, I'm just excited to see where this all goes and how fast this group will grow.
Well, I appreciate you so much. And if you'll hang on just a second, I'll say bye to you privately. But ladies, thanks so much for tuning in. We're so happy to have you here. And this is Taylor Thompson, Marina Simone, signing off the She Network. And we will see you later.
Bye.